welcome to another exciting episode of the program Security In and Out. I am Austin Peacemaker Inaide. Security In and Out is a weekly program that highlights and discusses security news and happening within the security and defense corridor while also informing the general public in and out. Today on this episode, we shall be discussing hate speech and security concerns in Nigeria. Our guest is a public affairs analyst, Sabola Abimbola. Sabola Abimbola works with the Savannah Center for Diplomacy, Democracy and Development. Sabola shall be throwing light on hate speech as it relates to terrorism and also remembering the Vice President's statement earlier on that hate speech can be ascribed to terrorism. That and many more we shall be discussing on this episode. Meanwhile, let's go on a short break, and when we are back, we shall be taking some security news in the course of the week.
This seminar, therefore, provides a veritable platform for us to familiarize and educate ourselves sufficiently on procurement matters that will enable the Nigerian Army compete successfully in the opportunities that arise from the implementation of the national budget.
We all do know that the logistic requirements of our present security environment are numerous and expensive. It therefore becomes imperative that the Nigerian Army sets its priorities right and develops an efficient and effective procurement process in accordance with extant regulations to maximize the use of linked resources.
Following the successes trailing exercise Aya Patoma by the Nigerian Army, a group, Northern Interfaith and Religious Organization for Peace, says the Army has been able to curtail elders-farmers clash in some states. In a press conference on the State of the Nation in Abuja, the group led by its national coordinator, Bishop Prince Gabriel Ububa, hailed the efforts of the Army.
Interfaith Religious Organization for Peace salute the President Buhari-led administration on its effort on security, without which the peddlers of discord would have succeeded in their bid to destabilize our dear nation. We hail the effort of the Nigerian Army, in particular, for the protecting the life of all citizens without consideration for ethnic or religious affiliation. It is the Nigerian Army that has stood against wanton destruction of lives and properties.
The group, while calling on well-meaning members of the public to pray against the activities of disgruntled elements in the society, also charged Nigerians to embrace love irrespective of religious differences.
We call on Nigerians of all faiths to frequently pray against the evil men in our midst. They should plead God to frustrate the attempts to flood and taint the land with blood as a gimmick ahead of the 2019 general election.
It will be recalled that SSS Aya Patoma was launched by the Nigerian Army in February 2018. The exercise, which has so far been described as successful, was recently extended for 2 months in Taraba State. The Northern Interfaith and Religious Organization for Peace ended its peace message with a call to Nigerians to stand help defeat evils in the country. That is the security news in the course of the week. You are still watching Security In and Out. As I said earlier, today we shall be looking at hate speech and security concern in Nigeria. And I said our guest is Sambola Abimbola. Sambola Abimbola is the head of program at the Savannah Center for Diplomacy, Democracy and Development.
Generally speaking and globally speaking, hate speech is any speech that is insightful in nature, that is derogatory, and of course, that is meant in order to hurt or injure a person or group of people.
Okay.
Here we are, going forward to 2019. We've seen all kind of people come forward to say things that could jeopardize the unity of this country. Even people that are currently holding public office say things that does not, all right, befit their office or position. So if we really want to move forward as a country, we need to understand that people have, yes, freedom of speech.
Exactly.
But your freedom of speech does not guarantee you right to incite anybody against anyone, does not guarantee you right to injure someone through your speech as a result of probably their religions, their ethnic, and all of that. So for us as a country, we really need to tackle the issue of hate speech if we want to really move forward.
So how has the campaign been so far?
Well, the campaign has been interesting. We received support across board. We've also received some questioning. Some people believe that it's not a call hate speech. Some people believe that the moment you talk about hate speech, you are trying to gouge, people freedom of speech, which is enshrined in the Constitution and under democracy. But we've been able to also explain that yes, there is a place for hate speech. There is also a place for free speech. In as much as what you say is not going to cause incitement, it's not going to lead to war, it's not going to lead to insecurity, it's not going to even lead to act of terrorism. Fine, but if you are going to say something that will overheat the polity, that will make other person, either your opponent, your political party opponent, or the other tribe to be perceived in a way that is not true. So you need to refrain from such things. But by and large, the campaign has been exciting. We've been getting support across board.
Okay, so as an expert in this field and a stakeholder, will you be on the side of the vice president to say that hate speech is act of terrorism?
Yeah.
What is your take on that?
We need to understand that terrorism and hate speech have a thin line. Hate speech tend to influence destructions, influence maiming, influence instability, and the same thing the act of terrorism also tend to influence. So when you say things that is not right, the other person you said it to might want to react. Before you know it, there is chaos everywhere. When someone also gets involved in an act of terrorism, the primary objective is to destroy, is to maim. to kill. So what you say in terms of hate speech, you never know what it may lead to. And a very good example is what happened in Rwanda, when people were saying things. And look at the genocide that hate speech, caused in Rwanda. You want to look at Kenya, you want to look at Bosnia. So there is a thin line between hate speech and act of terrorism. So I 100% agree with Vice President that hate speech should be treated as an act of terrorism.
So we can conclude right now to say that the call from the southeast, especially from the Biafra group,
Yes.
IPOB, saying that Nigeria is a zoo and all, I want to categorize that under a speech.
Yes, of course. In Rwanda, talking about Hutsi and Tutsi, they were calling each other names. People were being called cockroaches and all of that. So if calling someone cockroaches will make me, not seeing you as a human, and I can easily machete you, and I don't have any emotion or sense of guilt that I'm macheting a human being. Rather, I'm seeing you as a cockroach. And someone is also saying some group of people are also living in zoo. So it's animals that live in zoo. So you're also influenced to say, okay, you can kill people that live in zoo. They are animals. So it doesn't really, there's no difference. So
okay, quickly on this Rwanda scenario that you're throwing a man back, what lesson do you think we can learn from the Rwanda genocide?
There's a lot of lesson we could learn as a country and as young people generally. For a number of years that crisis was on, Rwanda was not progressing. Economy, there was nothing like economy. There was nothing called unity. As we speak up to today, even though the country is getting it right, but of course, when you look at their own form of democracy, is different from what the big boys and international community generally accepted to be a democracy. All right, and it's as a result of carryover from what they've experienced, because someone just felt that I still need to hold these people for a very long time. I don't want to exit now so they don't retrograde. So we need to learn a lot from Rwanda. We really need to learn a lot. Brothers killing one another, family killing one another, even a situation where husband and wife, because probably husband come from Hutsi and the other guy come from Tutsi, don't see each other as husband and wife any longer. So we have a lot to learn if we must move forward as a country.
As in looking back, the memory lane,
yes,
maybe 2019, 2015 election,
2015, yes.
or before 2015 election, can you give us instances or scenarios where the impact of hate speech was so visible here in Nigeria?
Okay, let me talk about prior to 2011 election. I know a lot of people don't remember. The current president then was also running for office, and he lost, and he made some statements. And these statements were meant, he makes those statements on religion line. So when he lost the election, there was a whole lot of killing and destruction in another part of the country.
Or was it a time of the baboons and was it when they made a statement at the baboons and the...
Yeah, and there was also the issue of some people are infidel and all of that. So that led to all kind of destruction. All right, in 2011. And talking about 2015, prior to Route 2015 general elections, documentaries were also made. On air, documentary were made. Some TV station broadcasted those documentary to also malign even the current president and some other top politicians in Nigeria. And the idea was to also paint them in a certain way so that the general public will see them either as wicked, incompetent, or not ready for the job, or corrupt. So all of these, when you put them together, are definition of what hate speech sincerely is. So if not for maturity and the grace of God, some of the things we did in this country in 2015 will have led to serious consequences. So we don't want to continue. We don't want to continue journeying on that line. And that is why this campaign is very important, because as a center, Savannah Center, prior to 2015 election, we're also on the field to promote unity and to also see how leaders could work together. But one of the things we also picked from the field was the issue of how people were using hate speech to malign their political opponents, to align anybody that disagree with their ideologies and all of that. And we knew then that if nothing is done quickly, it's going to, snowball into something big and dangerous in 2019. And that is why we are currently on this project.
Thank you so much. Lastly, let me quickly ask, looking at the religious tension in Nigeria, ethnic tension and all.
Yes.
And also the coming 2019 election and all. As a stakeholder, as an expert, what is your advice to the Nigerian people?
Well, for me as a person, religion is a personal thing. And I don't see any reason someone should allow his or her own religion affiliation affect his relationship with other persons. So as Nigerians, I want us to know that we cannot play God. God is God. And I also want us to know that our religion sincerely does not mean anything to God. What God consider, in my own opinion, very important is our character and our action. So if I say I'm a Christian and my character and my action does not depict love, and I call somebody that does not believe in Christianity names and also malign the person, I've not shown good character, and I'm not sure if God will be happy about that. So as a Nigerian, I think it's high time, especially young people, to stop believing or thinking that our problem is religion or ethnicity. Our biggest problem in Nigeria is underdevelopment. Our biggest problem in Nigeria is leadership deficit. Our biggest problem in Nigeria, when you look around, our educational sector is crumbling, health is crumbling. Nothing seems to be working. So religion is not the thing. As a matter of fact, maybe I want to say because we've overplayed religion. Religion actually is gradually becoming part of the problem in this country.
You have heard it all from Sambola Abimbola talking about a speech as it relates to terrorism, and also taking a flashback to the Rwanda genocide and also other critical issues around a speech. That is how we call it a wrap on this episode of the program Security In and Out. I am Austin Peacemaker. Do stay out of trouble, and don't forget, a speech is not free speech.